Hello, everybody. Welcome to the final of a 2.5 year project.
Hold it up.
We made it. Can you believe
We
it?
did it. At what cost, though? At what cost?
I know.
I can't even talk about that yet.
Yeah.
Actually, did you cry because me and Cody were analyzing your stories to work out whether you'd cried or not? Because you looked fine.
I did.
Okay, good. Because we were like, what's wrong with her? Like, because she must be broken.
It wasn't as much as I thought, though. Like, it was just a kind of single tear moment.
Mm.
No, I was like loud sobbing.
When I finished, I like literally just put my head in my hands and I just wept.
Yeah, it was a rough one.
Like from like page 100 on, when I realized what the ending was going to be, it all started.
Yeah.
All I've done today is play Dreamlight Valley because I'm too sad to do anything. I put it off for as long as I could, but I had to finish it this afternoon.
I read the last 250 pages in one big stint, so it was just...
I've been reading this since the 1st of September continuously. Like, it took me a long, long time.
I did a lot on audio, and like when we were in our chat and I was saying I'm trying to get a lot finished on Friday, because on Fridays my workload is always like super light and I'm virtual with literally everything, so I audiobooked a lot.
Yeah.
Quite a few sobbers, but also just like a single tear.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
That's
God, what's
intense.
that?
Yeah.
It's been devastating, and I'll be sure to watch back when I eventually finish. Thank you. It's been devastating. Yeah.
Oh no, yeah.
I rated it 5 stars. So we got a 5-star series.
The only appropriate rating.
Have you given all of these ones 5 stars in this trilogy? Ashley? Because I know she was like up and down with all of... No? Okay.
This is the only one that got 5 stars.
Oh, I gave all of these ones 5 stars. I don't know why I think I did anyway. I'm going to check, actually. I think the second one was like a 4.5, but I rounded mine up, don't I? So it's a 5. This is my only 5-star series, though, and this is the only final book in a series from the Realm of the Elderlings that's got 5 stars.
Really? Not even Fool's Fate?
No, I don't think so.
Wait, what's that one called? Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to check now. You've got me questioning myself.
With Icefire and Azlav.
Maybe. How did we read that? Oh no, we were reading the Realm Chronicles this year, so
right. That wasn't a 5-star all the way through.
No.
I think that was the only series that I was like really not that bothered about. Doing well.
Yeah, I do have. I was supposed to write them down, but you guys know I'm never prepared, so I didn't. But I had some like questions for like the series as a whole for us to go through like at the end. While we're at the end, yeah, I've got every book in this one 5 stars. And I need to check. Was it Fool's Fate that was the last one? Because I actually don't know. I did give Assassin's Quest 5 stars, but I remember in hindsight, I was like, it's probably more of a 4 because of the first 300 pages being really, really slow.
I didn't mind that. I know I'm in like the minority of most Farseer trilogy readers who really enjoyed Assassin's Quest. Like I really liked the departure from Buckkeep in that one. I didn't mind the slog. It really was, though.
I rated that one, but like in hindsight, I now see it quite nostalgically. So
Yeah, 4 star for Fool's Fate, although I cannot tell you why. I just remember that trilogy as a whole is my least favorite of the Fitz ones because of the structure of it being a little bit off. With it being kind of like a standalone about the Witted Folk and then a duology about Icefire. I can't remember what it was particularly about the last one that made... Oh, was it Thick Seasickness, maybe?
Probably.
Oh my God.
I can't even talk about Thick in this book. Oh my God.
I know.
Oh.
Okay, so let's start off with discussing this book, and then we'll circle back at the end and talk about favourites and least favourites and the Realm of the Elderlings as a whole. But what are your guys' like non-spoilery thoughts on this one?
Emotional damage, pain. What is it to say that's non-spoilery?
Yeah.
That's the thing. I do actually have a criticism for it, but I can't go into it without spoilers.
Oh, fuck's sake. Right, okay.
So it is a thing of pretty much everything I've always said about Hobb. It was incredibly satisfying to see how she managed to pull so many stories together.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't feel forced at all.
Yeah.
So just forever impressed with her ability to do that.
I agree. I think if I'm going to go non-spoilery, like Fitz's storyline really felt like the wrap up, and B's storyline still felt like new and fresh. And I really like, there wasn't a single chapter that I didn't love.
Mm.
I'm still not fond of B.
Me neither, but I'm throwing it back to how we felt about some of the things that Fitz was doing in like the first trilogy. I'm like, fair. And like Malta.
Yeah.
She is young, isn't she?
Yeah. She's a brat, but she's been through a lot, so it's like
And she can also just like see the various possibilities of various futures. So like
I mean, when we were all messaging of like when we were super stressed, that scene, that was like my favorite B scene. Like
I don't know
chapter like 27 onward. It was definitely just like an oh shit kind of like got me hyped. Like one of B's final moments. As non-spoilery as I can get.
Do I even have any like non-spoiler thoughts that we haven't touched upon? I thought, I have some very slight criticisms of it, but nothing that like would make it less than 5 stars. Like it's nothing major. Possibly my favorite series. Yeah, definitely my favorite series in the Realm of the Elderlings now. It was all resting on this book because I knew with every series, like it dipped down to 4 stars, like in the last one. It was resting on this one, and it was so good, and I'm really happy with how she pulled everything together for the most part, which I'll discuss what I didn't like when we go into spoilers. Surprisingly, I didn't cry at like the very last cry-worthy part. But I don't know if I subbed it all out by that point.
Yeah.
I'm with Beth.
Yeah, I do think that B was a little bit annoying to read from throughout the beginning because it was just like a follow-on from the second book where like we didn't know what she was doing then either, which like with Assassin's Quest makes sense when you get to the end of a storyline, but it's still irritating to read when you're actually reading through it. Got sangria, let's do some ugly crying.
Nettle annoyed her 16 books in. 16 books in and still get characters mixed up. That's totally fine.
Good luck with the last series. It's going to be a lot. Okay, right. So anybody who hasn't read the books, please leave because there's nothing we can really discuss without spoilers at this point. Because
can you hear him? He's going back upstairs. He won't be this way.
Okay, we've given people time to leave, I feel. So, wow.
Oh, okay. I feel like the only way that we can like tackle this book is we have to like go in chunks. Like, do we want to talk about the very ending first? Do we want to talk about like there's too much? There's too much.
I feel like we're just gonna have to get the whole crying situation out the way, otherwise we're gonna be like all the way through.
Yeah.
And then we can go into the nitty-gritty details and stuff.
To the end.
Okay. Yeah.
Wow.
When
I can't believe that Robin Hobb made me cry, to then make me cry again at the same thing later.
right, yes,
The same thing twice.
when I realized that he was going to carve a dragon, I lost it. And then when it became clear that he was going to carve a wolf, it fucking wrecked me. It wrecked me. So like, and then that was the only point in time where I was annoyed to read back to B's perspective, because I was like, I need to know what Fitz is doing this whole time. You need to give me Fitz.
Because at that point, the only point of B was to carry on the storyline like past Fitz.
Yes.
So, like,
I think what wrecked me was the bit when she said, "He's always loved you the most," and I was just like, "Fuck no!"
I was always cried out. I was already cried out. Sorry.
No, that got me again.
But for me, I think the worst part was the bit where everybody was coming forward and like doing, like giving bits to the wolf, and also like when he was giving things to them, and like when all of the people turned up and all of the people that like he touched and contributed to the lives, and like a lot of the people wouldn't. Well, I don't think any of them would be there without him. Like the princes.
Yeah.
Oh, and oh my god, the crying. Actually, no, I started crying first when Katrikan was coming.
Oh god, and the kiss from my eyes.
Yeah, that was a big one.
Aaron's here, dude. No, you're gonna get spoiled. Get out. Go.
Come on, you've only got 3 books to go. You can do Yeah, that, oh my god, that line was it. I've never been enough. He said, I've never been enough. Oh, when he was trying to fill the wolf and he couldn't fill the wolf, and he said, I've never been enough for anything.
Yes.
Something like that.
Yes, all of the comments. Guys.
I think this is where probably unpopular opinion from me comes in. I kind of wish that he did actually die in the cave.
Okay.
Because
it was just
I
so
almost
like
expected it to be so devastating that whole scene with Paragon and like people going missing, presumed dead. I thought Robin Hobb was just like, right, you're gone, you're gone, you're gone, and I expected that to be like the devastation.
Yeah.
Like that everybody came back. I was like, oh.
Yeah, that was kind of annoying, but
I wasn't mad that Althea was found. I wasn't mad.
I was just like, oh.
My only criticism is that as somebody whose favorite series up until this point is the Live Ship Traders, I think that a lot of the Live Ship Traders characters were done dirty by having their story happen. Like Boyo and Kennitson happened in between a chapter.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you can't do that to me. Not like not Althea and Brashen's baby. Like, no.
Yeah.
And the fact that it was like, yeah, Althea's missing and we didn't know she was coming back. And I'm like, you can't just kill Althea. Like,
yeah.
Me.
I think I just have such a gripe with the whole like resurrection trope at this point. That was like, oh, come on.
I mean, he's come back 3 times. This is his thing.
I think the thing is for me is that she made me believe it. Like I actually thought he was dead.
Yeah.
I didn't see the body.
Yeah, I didn't. I was like, we haven't seen the body. I don't think he's dead. So it didn't surprise me when he came back. I was like, sweet, I'm good.
Yeah.
Because we all knew Fitz was going to die at the end of this one. And I don't know what I expected, but him carving his wolf was not what I expected. And that's why I started just freaking sobbing.
Yeah. Zaf doesn't look happy.
Can I be heard? Am I audio?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to use the same vulgar language I used earlier, but I'm never reading the Hobb book again. I'm good, thanks.
Did you
have depression in my own life? What were you going to say?
How much did you cry? Because Ashley had a single tear, but like me, Cass, and Cody sobbed.
So I spent most of my time reading the entire thing, just like, I sound like a prick, like annoyed, because I was just like, oh my god, can everything stop being so slow? Can things just happen? And then like in the final third, I was just a wreck. Like, I just felt so emotional. And I just felt like really, really annoyed in the sense I was like, oh, could you like give me more dialogue? Like, right now I need to hear like we are going to talk about it, but just like that ending sequence, and obviously we're not there yet, but it's just like,
oh, we're there.
We're there.
That's what
We just jumped straight to it.
You just went.
oh damn, okay, yeah, just that ending sequence. I was just kind of like, I love how it was written, and I understand why it was written that way. But a pet part of me is like, bitch, I want to hear it like from his perspective, and like what's going through his head. Like, how does the magic feel and stuff? Usually she's always talking about that, but I never expected to have that final perspective. And I know I got what I wanted because I was saying, someone better die, you better die, let them just all die, and it'll make me happy. And like, yeah, it made me happy, but also I'm so sad.
I was so pissed that it was a bloody parasite that took him out at the end as well.
Oh, yeah, so mad.
Like, oh, raging.
I was so mad. I explained like as best I could to my husband because like I was sitting in bed with him, like reading, and I was like, I'm sorry, please don't look at me. He's like, no, you're good. So then the next morning, he was like, well, how did it end? I was like, okay, back in book 3. You know?
That's what I did when because Curtis went out today and he came back just before dinner time. So I was like, okay, so this is what happened and this is why we got here and this character's done this. And he's the uncle of this character and the father of this character. And his best friend's this guy who's also his soulmate, but not like in a sexy way. And Curtis is just like, yep. Don't know what you're saying, but yep.
Yeah, did his death have to be slow and painful? I knew it was going to be bad. It wasn't going to be like all blazes and glory, like fighting for B. Of course not. But
That's cheating.
All this goes in my head is like, I hasn't suffered enough, and I think this is why the book is just like, I don't. What does she have against him? Like,
I'm not a guy.
Like, okay, Harry Potter went through child abuse, so fair enough. I understand going through suffering over and over again. But, like, does this man ever get a moment to just be okay? Can he not just be, like, happy in death?
I think it was very fitting that he still left a lot of things unfinished, in that, like, he still wasn't a great father. It was horrible because I wanted it to be, and something that really upset me is that he never met his grandkid.
Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah.
But like it was fitting to like, because the thing with Hobb is that like Fitz isn't your typical hero and it's not like a nice pretty happy story, and they very much fit with that, but it was still it was even more upsetting because of that.
Yeah, and the fact that B was like, well, I'm an orphan now, and then she was, because she Fool as well. Like,
I thought that was interesting that he went, because I fully expected him to go, and then he wasn't. So I was like, well, somebody has to stay on, and he's going to live a long time. And then he went, which I feel like he should have done. But like, still, I was shocked.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like Fitz couldn't let go until he was joined with the Fool. And I think the Fool probably knew that, because even though Fitz was like, stay with B, he was like, no. Oh, it hurts.
At least like we got all we wanted. They're together. And 2 souls, 1 body and all that shit.
3, technically.
3 souls, 1 body.
Well, father.
T.
The fact that Night Eyes was still a character, so like purposefully a character for this whole trilogy.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That was what I needed too.
Oh, thick.
I can't even think about thick. That was like the sweetest, most precious thing ever.
And when Nettle's like, he's difficult, and B was like, well, I was just about to say he's not difficult at all.
Yeah. And like, he taught her how to sing with the music.
And I loved how she was like, he taught me how to make a tent. Like, everybody's building these skill walls, and he's like, no, this is how you do it. And I was like,
I would have liked
everybody has it all wrong.
I would have liked to have heard more about that, because Thick magic and the way that he skills has always been a little bit of a mystery to everyone else because he does it so differently.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody else has understood it, but he's just took B and been like, this is how we do it, and this is what we're doing. And she seems to have seen a purpose in it. Where she's like, I just don't understand why you're doing this. And the way he was like, you have to come in the tent because like we can't be too loud. And that's because of everyone shouting at him because he scales really loudly. Oh.
I think this is going to be my face for this whole show.
My thing was Kettrick just like adopting her.
Oh, the fact that Wolfbarb and Night Eyes was like, she's the one I would have chosen.
Oh, Night Eyes getting real slutty up in here because then Fitz said that like his Night Eyes thoughts were practically his own, and then he called Catrickan my lovely Queen Catrickan or something. It's like, Night Eyes, you need to stop.
Catrickan is the one we all would have chosen for him.
Bloody Molly.
It's true.
I feel kind of validated though that even Night Eyes was just like, about Molly.
It's actually just sad that we're not crying.
This time, I'm sure we will. Maybe we're all cried out. I don't know about you guys, but I had to go outside and touch grass today because I was like mourning.
It was more like the things that were hitting me were just like the random one-liners or like couple of lines that would drop in the middle of a conversation that would like hit particularly hard, and I was like, where the fuck did that come from?
Yeah.
Like there was one bit, I ended up tabbing it, where they're returning back on Vivacia, and Bee's obviously having a hard time because she thinks her dad's died, and Vivacia just randomly goes, it's like poison working out of your wound. Let the tears fall and let the fear shake you. On my deck or within my hold, you don't have to be strong. Let go of what you had to hide. And I was like,
yeah.
Look at Vivacia being this like amazingly wise lady.
I'm so happy she got to be a dragon. So happy.
And she was silver. Oh, I loved it.
Yeah.
I was really upset about Paragon for most of the book.
Yeah, but I am happy that one of the dragons went back and like met Ronica and stuff. The blue one. The male one. Yeah.
The fact that Ronica was still alive, that made me happy.
Oh, and she was so kind to Bee, which was also so lovely to see.
I think this is just, I'm just gonna like
I'm not going to sound so bad right now, but you know, for those few chapters that we thought Fitz was fully dead and it was just Bee's perspective and stuff, I liked that. Like, I was like, oh, you know what? This is such an interesting way to end like Fitz's story, like continuing kind of with his legacy and like having a bit of a sight into what the future holds for Bee and like essentially things that she's going to have to deal with. So it feels like the story isn't like, it continues to feel like the world is living and like all that stuff. And then he comes back for a little bit and then just fucking dips again. And it's just like, well, I didn't need that, but thanks for the depression. Thank you. Fucking bitch.
I think we definitely knew from the second book that he wasn't going back to Bookkeep because that whole book was just like a goodbye to Bookkeep. So like we knew he was never going to make it home.
But I was surprised that Bee did make it to Bookkeep. Like they got her back to Bookkeep real quick. Once they
I quite liked that Fitz didn't trust Amber and didn't like Amber throughout it. It kind of reminded you that they are different people. Yeah.
And that he like yells at him, like finally like admits, was like, I don't like you when you're Amber.
The way that Hobb managed to write like that gender fluidity and everything though was just
it's really good.
It was so good.
I can't even think off the top of my head of any other story which has ever had that kind of aspect to it where it comes to gender. And I understand that like a lot of the times in fantasy when they want to give an idea of like a mystical being, they'll use someone of like a different race or like, and like an androgynous aspect is like one of those things where it's like otherworldly and different and all that stuff. But I just feel like it was done so respectfully and so interestingly here, so it doesn't feel like it's too adherent to like our world or like disrespectful. It was just really, really interesting. I did like that. And on a separate note, because you brought up Amber and stuff, Rapskull was so annoying. He's just so fucking annoying. Like, I literally cannot stand him. Just shut I was just like, honestly, when I got to those parts, I was like speeding. Like, I don't care. Like, just shut up, my guy. You're just like so annoying.
I did like the bit where they're all sat on the dock near the end, and he's like, "Oh, I hope the dragons didn't kill them." Sometimes they do that.
Yeah,
Because that was
Wow.
yeah.
Absolutely no tact.
and like that, Hobb kept the dragons to how we expected, how they have been consistently. Like Tintaglia didn't suddenly care about humans at the end, which I appreciated. That I feel like that would have been too fan servicey to make the dragons somehow allies all of a sudden. Like, I mean, Hebe is a bit different because obviously with Rapskull, but yeah, I really like that.
But even like the goodbye to Paragon too, it was like a full farewell to Paragon, because Paragon was like, once I become dragons, I'm not Paragon, and I won't likely come back for you.
I was really, really upset when Paragon was being attacked, because I don't know, it just really, like at the end of Game of Thrones, where everything, like all of the locations are being destroyed. That always upsets me. So like Paragon being destroyed just really got to me. And then I actually started crying as well when Vivacia was drinking all of the silver.
Yeah.
That was like where I first started crying towards the end. So yeah, but I'm like, Live Ship was my favorite series up until this one, so I am very attached to all.
I think like on what you said, when you experience a story and everything, and then all those key landmarks and all those key aspects of the story, they end, it's like this thing that cements that, oh, this is over. Like, this aspect of the world is never going to be the same again. And it's never something that will be revisited. It's dead now. And it's just like having that kind of realization. It's like when Notre Dame burnt up. It was like, oh, it's gone. But it felt like it felt like a bit deeper than that, because obviously we've been reading this series and we have more of a connection to these places, and we've built that connection over like 4 series. So.
That's a really good analogy, though, because I felt lots of feelings watching Notre Dame.
I had a point and I can't remember what it was, which is helpful.
Oh, something else that was nice to talk about Fitz and the Fool. Do you remember when they sat down, they were like, "What are we?" And he was like, "When we were together, I felt whole."
Yeah.
Oh.
I was like, it's a bit too late to have this talk, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, we're having the talk now.
Yeah.
It's fine. I'm here for it, but
how many decades did it take them?
Yeah.
You know how, like, obviously we've talked about this before, their relationship obviously goes beyond like normal like sexual attraction and stuff like that, but like, you know how people talk about like in queer relationships, like one person will fancy, like 2 people will fancy each other, but they never like say anything about it, and then it's been like a bajillion years, and then they're like, "Oh, I liked you," and they're like, "Oh no, I liked you too." It felt like that. I was like, dude, it's been decades now. Like, how dumb are you?
I liked Fitz finally accepting the bond as well, because he's always been a little bit weirded out by it. So him finally accepting it was really nice.
Yeah.
I am sad about, like, because as we've said, with Amber and Fitz and Amber, Fitz doesn't like Amber. I'm upset that we had so much Amber in this book, because I wanted more Fitz and the Fool in this book, because it was the last book. Oh my god, talking about emotional devastation, the acknowledgement of this one got me before I even started the book. I was like, this is going to be awful. Like, I don't want to. Please.
Like,
have you not seen it?
I mean,
Not the dedication at the beginning, not like the...
Oh,
yes.
God, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, I read it on Kindle, like on my phone. So it just went straight to the first page of the prologue. It didn't even show. Oh my god, now I have to scroll all the way back.
it's not just the pain of this ending of this book, it's the pain that this is the end of the series as well. Like it hits even harder. Like we don't have any more books from Fitz now. Like
something that was
Which
interesting.
I didn't need to read that acknowledgement. Sorry. Fuck you. Carry on.
That's something I thought that this book was going to end because she went to Clara's and there was all of the like scrolls and stuff, and I was shocked when she started setting fire to them all because I thought that this was going to end with them finally having access to the scrolls, which had all of the history of the Elderlings and the dragons in, so then they would finally know what they were doing. Because you remember, like in the very first book when we're reading it, and they don't even know what an Elderling is.
yeah.
And there's still so much that they don't know and so much that they should, like, about the skill and what's, like, the actual extent of what they can do with it. I thought that they were going to actually use that.
I haven't been so much about, like, documenting, because we've always had Jade and all of the scrolls. We've had Fitz, like, documenting stuff. We've got Bee with her journal. Which, by the way, is it meant to be the fact that, like, Bee's telling this story?
I think so.
Yeah. And I was just like, but we're just gonna, it's basically like Library of Alexandria being burned down.
Yeah. I mean, they have the memory cubes, right? They kept getting mentioned a few times.
Yeah.
From Azrael, or whatever it's called.
Yeah, the foreshadowing of the
Oh, a bit that really got me was when he was carving Night Eyes' toes, and Night Eyes was like, "Yeah, you always used to tickle that bit or something."
Yes, that one.
Because he specified when he was asleep as well, and I do that to Brie when she's sleeping. I do between
just
her
a
toes.
little bit, yeah. Yeah.
Something else that I don't think we fully got an answer to, which I would have liked, is something that Fitz really pointed out in this book, which was that the ships feel like the skill and kind of like the wit, but not like either.
Yeah.
And I would have liked more of that and more of the wit, especially, that kind of went by the wayside in this one.
Yeah.
And like how, because we've always been like, well, the skill and the wit are something to do with dragons, but how? Like what specific?
Yeah.
And I can't remember the answers.
Still never had like an exact explanation as to how
the Farseers got
magic, got into the Farseer line.
I think like if I took emotions aside, I would have actually objectively put this book, don't sue me, at like maybe 4 stars, simply because like even though I like everything about the book and stuff like that itself, that what you guys are talking about right now is my exact gripe. Because you know how I carried on complaining about how certain things weren't explained and I just felt like certain things didn't have a point. It's like, I understand it's not trying to give you all the pieces, but it's like I was getting a lot of annoyance and frustration at still then finishing everything and then being left like clueless about how they link to dragons and stuff. But yeah, sorry, carry on, Cass.
I don't even remember what I was going to say. I'm just here in the moment and I can't even think that far ahead. What was I going to say?
Yes, because the next trilogy is going to be a B trilogy if she writes it, but I don't know if she will. And I would be happy to not read it, or like I would be happy if she didn't release it, because I don't want to go back into this world where it fits.
Yeah,
it'll be
without the wall. It's for me. I'm just like, what is the world without?
Because there's also no shade, there's no verity, there's no courage. There won't be Catrican for long.
I've just been left with all the characters that I find annoying.
What about if it's just like a book that's an epilogue, like a small little book that's just an epilogue as a book
novella,
from Bee's perspective?
Huh? I could get into that because I did like the Piebald Prince.
I like that a lot too.
And that was just like a little taste, a little snippet.
There was 2 things that I wanted from this book, and I only got one of them, so I'm a little bit mad that I didn't get the other. One of them was I wanted Fitz to meet Paragon. That was fantastic. Loved that.
As soon as that was like hinted at, I thought of you straight away.
I know you said like it's just you wait till you get to this chapter. And then the second thing was I really wanted Fitz to ride a dragon, but that didn't happen. But that's fair, because like dragons,
are annoying.
Yeah.
And he belongs to Verity, so like he can't.
I know. Oh my god, that bit when he was like, "You've been claimed by Verity." I was just like,
I was interested by that though, because like, what does that mean? Because Verity is a dragon, stone dragon. Like,
yeah.
What does that mean? Does that mean that the dragons are dragons? If the dragons
The
say that
stone-
the stone dragons are dragons, does that mean that they're dragons?
Yeah,
It's got to mean it. It's got to mean it because they're like all the dragons kept trying to identify it. They're like, you smell familiar.
Yeah.
I'm like, but he hasn't really interacted with any dragons. And then when they said it was Verity, I was like, you got to be kidding me.
But then they don't know Verity because
I thought we were going to get so much more Verity.
I was hoping for it.
I was really hoping for it because when Night Eyes was trying to get B to escape to go to the quarry, I was like, yes, this is it. We're going to get Verity. And then that didn't happen. He's a very large presence in the Skill River.
This is where the Farseer line comes from. And we do know there was an Elderling place that, how do you say it, is asked somebody who did
Oslabjaw?
That one. So there's like an Elderling thing there. But like, why are there Elderling stones under Bookkeep? Like, why is there a skill pillar under there? There's just so much about the history that we still.
I'm gonna give out a bullshit theory. Okay, I'm gonna need you all to ride my wave for a second. So, what if the dragons put their consciousness into people, and that was the Farseer line? I know it sounds fucking stupid.
Possibly.
We still don't actually have an explanation on the Farseer line because you could say, yeah, they're descended from Elderlings, but Elderlings can't conceive, and when they do, their children need changing by dragons to be able to survive. So how would they have turned into this line of humans?
Unless they were dragon conscious bloodness.
Oh, the dragons might know him from his presence in the Skill River. That's legit.
I love how it all harps back to that blooming tapestry on his wall from the very first book, where the king went to go meet the Elderlings in the mountains.
Didn't Fitz like successfully heal a whole bunch of the Elderlings though? But I don't know like what level of human that restored them to, if it was just a case of, well, now you're not hurting.
But then it's different as well because the Elderlings can't do that.
Yeah.
But they have magic. They have dragon magic. But
So true.
why? And why does nobody in Bingtown or the Rainwilds have the skill?
Right. Yeah. Everyone else relies on the dragons. Farseers just do it on their own.
Yeah.
But also how B had Verity's skill strength. That was awesome. It was really awesome.
Do you think she's witted? Because Nettle said, are you witted? And she said, no, I just talk to cats. Which to me means that, yes, she is witted.
I mean, yeah, to be fair. But she was like, cats, well, she's like, I'm the only one that listens or something. Or cats won't talk to me. Yeah.
The cats talk to everyone.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, but that's not, I don't think you understand.
Yeah.
She did say that she talks to cats, but does that mean that they talk back? Because I talk to Mew a lot and he's deaf. So
were there any other animals that she like reached out to?
I mean, she spoke with Motley, but Motley's like speaking like a human. So
did
she mentioned Night Eyes herself? She was just like, I don't know if Wolffather counts.
Yeah,
right. And it's not like she would reach toward her horse or anything.
I can't remember.
But she kind of had a good connection with her horse.
Or whether it was a kitten. Was it kittens or puppies?
It was just the one cat, I thought.
Also, what happens? Why is Night Eye still about? We never got an explanation for that. You know?
No, because Fitz asked, didn't he?
And
he was like, we're just one.
Yeah.
Which is why I was I didn't understand why. Because I thought that all three of them were going to live in the Fool.
Totally.
He was the one that would survive. And Night Eyes was like, no, I can't really do that. And it's like, why? You're all one.
Are they, though? Because when they like joined together at the end of the Tawny Man trilogy, Night Eyes wasn't really a part of that healing. He wasn't really part of that exchange.
But
they're saying that's how their oneness came to be.
I thought that the thing was that when they did that healing, they realized that they were one entity. Like that they were whole when they were together. So then my kind of thought is if Night Eyes is bonded to Fitz, that means that he's also a part of the Fool. If the Fitz and the Fool are one. And then also there was the triptych thing, the little three-faced statue, which I thought was a representation of the fact that they were all one.
But the Fool carved those, and so it could have been the Fool's thoughts that they were, but Night Eyes was very much like, I think he only granted people a connection with him when he saw fit. Night Eyes was still very much like his own being.
Yeah. I mean, he was with Bee for a majority of the time because he needed to be with the cub because she needed him more.
We have some people remembering that the dogs reacted to her a little bit in Withy Woods. And the cat, I don't think she was bonded to the horse, but I think the horse reacted to her because she thought that she wanted to run off and the horse bolted. But that wasn't a conscious thing that she did. It was more just like a reaction. So I think she's definitely witty, but I just thought it was interesting that she said no, but cats talk to me.
Yeah.
She also just doesn't know a lot though. Like she's still how old?
I don't know. She's like 10?
11. Yeah.
I agree with what Jenny has put into the chat about like how they're all connected. Essentially, like it does make a bit more sense to me that kind of way because like Eyes and the Fools don't necessarily have the strongest bond. Meanwhile, to Fitz, they're both a part of him.
I really didn't know how to take his final little statement when Bee was just like, "Oh, he loved you most of all," and Night Eyes was just like, "That was a great lie." I'm just like, excuse you?
Yeah, Night Eyes said that you told a lot of great lies. The last one was the greatest of all. And I'm like, what was the last lie? I can't figure out what the last lie is.
It was when, so basically, Fitz, if I remember this correctly, Fitz was saying that in the book, like in her journals and stuff like that, he'd read them, this is blah, 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 how it was going to be. And then she's like, I lied. And then Fitz was like, what? Because he'd taken essentially her dream journal as fact.
Yeah, it was the Fool was doing that. But like the way that Night Eyes said it, I feel like it implied that there was another lie. So there was the lie that she'd said to the Fool, where she said he wrote you a letter that said that he didn't want you to come back. Then there was the dream that she said that she lied about. And then I feel like Night Eyes implied there was another lie. And I was like, I don't know what the last lie was.
Well, the last thing she says, like out loud, with all of them around, is "It's you he wants, not me. Go."
Yeah, but I just feel like because of the way that it was said, it feels like there's a lot of importance put on like that final lie, and that doesn't feel like a big deal. Like that would be it.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Oh, did he write the letter?
Yeah, Fitz never wrote the letter. I just assumed it was about that.
But this says that he did write the letter.
I thought he wrote.
But then I would never have remembered because he wrote a lot of stuff that he just didn't really mean. He was probably just mad at, like, how many times has he been a dick to the Fool just because he was in a mood?
Yeah, the Fool would kind of see right through it, in my opinion. He'd just be like, oh, for fuck's sake. Because one of my favorite things was earlier on in the book. I think it was actually as Amber. Like, Fitz was saying some shit, and then he was like, yeah, now shut up. Like, essentially. And I was just like, oh, that brings me so much satisfaction.
Beth also thinks that he wrote the letter, so it is possible.
Yeah.
That would make more sense then if Night Eyes was like, good lie.
Yeah.
To make
I'm not taking this because no, Fitz.
Yeah, so this is what Night Eyes says. Said those were astounding lies, Cub, and the very last one the most inspired of all. You have your father's talent for it.
But then I was also like, maybe that's him claiming that he actually loved Night Eyes more than anyone, which would make sense.
Oh yeah, no, that would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
He then followed it up saying, "I go to the hunt," as if to be like, "It's me."
That was quite early on in the book where Fool says, "This is our last hunt." Does he call him an old wolf? He said, "This is our last hunt, old wolf," or something. And I was like, no.
And then when they are in that cavern and it's coming down on them, he asks Night Eyes how the hunting is where he is, and he said it would be better if you were here.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Too much.
Yeah, I didn't get this as well because Fitz isn't the best liar, but then I wondered if, because then was Night Eyes talking about the Fool? Because the Fool is also a father.
Mm. Yeah. On a lighter note, I thought it was funny when Night Eyes is like back with Fitz and Fitz says something sarcastic and then he's like, B was never sarcastic.
I liked it when Night Eyes said, "Oh, dying's boring," and Fitz was like, "Maybe you're not taking it as personally as I am."
I was gonna miss it so much.
He's like, listen, I was all for you dying when that was actually the plan, but now you're not dead, so you need to get out here.
I'm just so sick of his shit by this point.
I like how it changed as well from him being like, "Oh, dying's boring," to like, "Can you hurry up because this is excruciating." Like at the end, like, stop hanging on.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, the bit in the tunnel where he's like, "If you're gonna die, just die. Stop lying around like a big fat cow just crying about it." Like,
Yeah.
just die.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's like, "Oh, it's not that bad. I've been there. Let it go."
This is Fitz's third death. Third and final death. I wonder if that has any meaning too.
But he's not dead.
He's a wolf now.
When I went on to, I had a look on Reddit because I was looking to find out what the next trilogy was, or like what she was supposed to be writing. And some people were putting the theories on Reddit, and somebody said that they think they might explore whether silver on the stone dragons can turn them into dragons, which I don't think has a lot of credibility because they're shaped using silver. I don't think silver would have that effect on them, but like, it was a theory that someone had.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the knowing side glance from Ketrican at the end.
Yeah.
It's just like you can hear something running beside them, and she's just like,
Yeah.
I loved Purr.
Mm.
They just
really did.
had like big fellowship vibes. Every single time Fitz tried to go anywhere, they would all just rock up.
Yeah.
I
just
did
away.
get annoyed though how every fucking 10 minutes he was like, "Maybe we should leave the kids here," and it's like, no, like they're already here now. Where are you gonna leave them? Stop saying it. Like, we've already established they're not going anywhere. And like every time he'd present it as a new idea, it's like, well, you three could stay behind. And like, no.
Oh, thank God for Spark in this book, man. Like, he would have been so fucked without Spark.
Purr's my favorite though. He's a little cutie pie.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that he was like immune to all the magic, I was like, it made me feel really good because like we didn't have like a Burrich like character in a while. So the fact that it was like this cute little bright-eyed, bushy-tailed little boy.
Do you know the one moment where I was like, my heart is actually in my mouth because if this actually, like, if Hobb goes through with this would be devastating. When Fitz almost gets mind control to handing B back over.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
That little shit. What was his name?
Vindalia.
Yeah.
I'm so happy this motherfucker suffered because I was like, I don't know what it is. I feel just like recently in general, maybe it's me now being 26 years old. Like,
well, for all of 2 days.
3. Wait, no, what day is it? 4. Actually, but like
experience of being 26, you have gained.
But no, it's in the sense that like I've been feeling more and more maternal. And like I remember when I was younger, whenever like kids would appear in books and stuff like that, let alone romance books, I'd just be like, oh, for fuck's sake. So like especially when like reading ACOTAR or what thing, I was like, for fuck's sake, why does everyone have to have a baby? Hunger Games ending, a baby, there's only a fucking baby. But then when I was like reading this and stuff, I don't know, as of recently, I'm just like really, really like, oh baby, oh no.
But that could be the difference between this kind of trope being done really poorly and done really well.
Yeah.
I don't think
I'm gonna sound so shit.
because I always hate that trope too. That's like one of my least favorite things of all time.
See, I agree, but then it's like I went and like reread certain parts of A Court of Silver Flames and stuff, and I was like, you know what? Nope, this is definitely me being into babies now. Not in that way. Like,
do you
as
want
a
me
mother,
to bring my screaming toddler back?
I am
Set you
happy
right? Okay.
to babysit. I need to be around the poop so I can stop this baby
So you
fever.
can stop it. Sure, got it all for you.
All the puke, all the poop, give it to me.
I had that feeling the other day, but it's because I saw a TikTok of a kid that had stolen a block of cheese from a fridge and was said that she hadn't been in the fridge, and I was like, that would be my child. Only taking chunks out of a block of cheese, and I was like, yeah.
So here's my unpopular opinion. I wasn't happy with the Paragon Fitz meeting. I wasn't happy with Paragon scenes. I was very upset that he was so, I mean, it was very Paragon though, but I was very upset that he seemed like he hadn't improved.
Yeah.
And I was also very upset with Amber just doing whatever the hell she wanted on the live ships, because I was like, excuse me, do you not know my girl Althea? Like, why is this happening? Why are you just doing whatever you want on this live ship? So I had a lot of mixed feelings about the Paragon and Fitz meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also have the fact, like, what's happening with all of them. What are Althea, Brashen, and Wintro doing now? Because we just left them like jobless and destitute because the live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like completely doing away with like a majority of the trader way of life. In that one moment, I was just like, what the hell is Amber doing? Like, what are you doing? I was like yelling at the book at Amber.
I was kind of surprised by Ronica in this, because I feel like out of anyone, she would have been the one who was the most hysterical about all of that. But they just rocked up and she's like, yeah, some dragons came and chatted to us and everything's fine.
Yeah.
It's just like, excuse me.
I feel like we needed a live ship companion that went alongside this book.
Agreed.
Because so many of the live ship characters were just done dirty by this book because it was a Fitz book, and I'm like, this is bullshit.
I think if they do a B series, it's gonna be like cool, her like learning stuff, finding out like the true heritage, this, that, the other, like a lot of our questions being answered, but also having to deal with everyone being annoyed, like the traders being annoyed. Because one thing I did enjoy is like seeing Malta in this book. I just thought she was just so lovely to be around, and I just that character, what development, oh baby.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I loved how B loved Bingtown. I was like, yes, I love Bingtown too. And she, like someone mentioned in the chat earlier, that they felt like B hated Buckkeep, which her experiences at Buckkeep were trash. I loved that she loved Bingtown. So,
but then I think the different, like, Fitz also had terrible experiences at Buckkeep, but it was home. Like, she had a home that she enjoyed, where Fitz didn't have that. So like he just liked Buckkeep because that was his home.
With Caution, her maid, those scenes, oh my gosh. When they like hugged and then like slept in the bed together because they were homesick and they didn't know anybody. And
I was really confused because the UK version of that Caution is called Careful.
Yeah.
So the audiobook was saying Caution, whereas it was written down as Careful. So I was just like, I know they read the same thing, but what was the reason?
Yeah, because then Robin Hobb is Canadian, so I think
she's from the US.
Does she live in Alaska?
She did for a time. She lives in Washington State now.
Oh, okay. That's why I got confused, because I remember she was talking about hunting animals in Alaska, and I associate like Canada with a lot of wilderness, and the connection that I made in my brain.
But that was like
her differently. in American English to British
No?
English?
No.
Okay, then I have no idea why they did that.
Yeah, Caution.
Yeah.
It's not one of our ones where we lop a letter off that y'all have. Yeah.
I will say though, the one scene that I really enjoyed purely because I was like, that's such a me move, is when they were changing Vivacia, and they're just like, la da da, can't hear you over the sound.
Yeah, that was
good.
funny.
And they're just like, what? We can't hear you over this.
Yeah. Oh, one of my favorite bits was when B and Shun kind of reconnected.
Yeah.
After putting down that bitch who they were sat with, and she was saying something about crochet needles and shit. That was good. That was good.
Yes.
And they said they're going to the garden where the violets are actually sweet. I was like, smell fragrant.
Yes.
It was just like a bit of a, moment. I loved it.
Yes. Yeah. So speaking of like, when we were in the no spoiler 3 minutes of our live show, the part that I love the most about B is like her figuring out she's the destroyer, and like the way she wielded the potion, the serpent potion in that way. I was like, oh shit, this is the craziest thing. Yes. Mm-hmm. I was like, we've never had anyone do this. It was amazing.
And she'd just like die, and it was just like,
yeah, she was like, she said something like, I said die, and then she did. I was like,
yeah, that was cool.
Yeah. Oh, listen, I was making me want to reread. I don't know that I could reread right now.
I'm never reading this series again. I'm gonna just be real. I'm gonna be straight with you right now. I'm happy that I read them like via ebooks. Some of them I borrowed, like with a Kindle membership. Some of them I bought, but I only physically own the first trilogy, and I'm okay with that. I am never touching this shit again.
The way that Fitz met Brashenham was like, I could tell immediately we would get on, and I was like, yeah,
little romance.
I knew you would get along too.
Each other on the deck of the ship, though. I was like,
oh yes, yes.
And it's just like, do you want to take this to Fist? And it's like, yeah, I do actually. Then they're all just like, it's the ship. I was just like, oh, it's getting intense in here.
Oh, passion. And then, Boilo turned up as well. And I'm like, you, sir, you're in your mid-20s right now. And you're looking as good as your father did.
Boyle to me was like way more attractive than I ever thought Burrich was.
How old is B again
I don't know.
now?
Interesting. B.
He's like 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, no, I aged her up in my head. I thought she was like...
She's Barbie.
I don't know. I kind of imagine her as like 12, 14.
I think in this book, it said that this series is set 20 years after any of the others. So, because I was like, my mind was blown because that was like, because when we saw like Thymara and Rapskull last, they were like teenagers, and now they're like nearly 40.
And they've got kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How mellow Thymara was.
I know, when she was like, I don't want children. I don't want a man.
Yeah.
He also looks younger as well. So she's already young, and then she looks a few years younger because she ages slowly.
Oh, and Ketchikan looks at her and she was like, you were the child I could have had or something, because she's got the same colouring.
And then she adopts her.
I don't think we got like a definitive answer as to why she was changing colour the wrong way. And she changed, and it was very subtle because it was like, it was only because Prilcop said that he got darker as he got close to his path that like you kind of had to think, well, B got lighter because she was going further away. I think. But then she also changed once more, and it said that she was a shade closer to Pear's colouring, so I guess that would make her darker, which means that she is on the right path. But then if that's the right path, then why? Surely her being on the path of the Destroyer as the Destroyer was the path that she was supposed to be on.
Yeah.
So she should have been going darker, not lighter. I'm just confused. I just don't understand.
Can I ask a dumb question?
That was cute.
Yeah. So you know how like everyone carried on saying the final book will help you see the point, and it's not that I don't feel a point, but I don't see the point that maybe I was meant to see. Does that make sense? So you know how I carried on being like, oh, like, what is the point of the series? And like,
oh yeah,
you know what I meant?
So I think that the point is that right at the beginning, like I said, we didn't know what an elderling was. Like we had no idea. And then now we got to the point finally where we not only found out what exactly happened to the elderlings and the dragons in the first place, but the people who were responsible for it. We got rid of those people and we brought it back to where it should have been, where the elderlings and the dragons are back.
Yeah. As if they poisoned them all. That was brutal to find out. Like, that's how they were wiped out.
Yeah. And they harvested them too. Yeah. I was like, ew.
And somebody mentioned it in the chat as well about the island that Fitz went to, where like the elderlings had gone there because they couldn't go anywhere else and they'd been slaughtered as they were coming out of the skill pillar.
That was a heavy scene.
Like with all of the kids as well.
Yeah.
I feel so dumb that I wasn't able to put that together, but thank you, Becca, because now that makes so much more sense. Now I'm like, the entire like fucking series that we went through actually feel like they had a point. Like they all like obviously they all added something, but if the point was meant to be like what happened to these people and bringing back their return,
yeah,
I see the point now. I'm satisfied with that.
I guess also it's kind of destigmatized the wit as well, with Dutiful being witted.
I want to reread mainly the first two trilogies. No, because like we knew nothing at that point. We didn't even know what was happening. So now that I know stuff, I kind of want to reread just those two, and then everything else I pretty much remember. Like,
I want to see what riddles the Fool has there in the beginning that now came to light at the end.
I wonder if Hobb knew. I wonder how much she knew.
Yeah, because I don't know how much she actually intended to write.
Like, was she planning? Was she pantsing? Like, how much did she plan? I'm just so curious.
Well, I know that Tawny Man was supposed to be the end. So, yeah, I don't know.
You know the people who say, "Oh, you can just read the Fitz books." How? You don't get it. Literally don't understand.
Yeah,
because even though Rainwild Chronicles was not my favorite, getting us to Kelsingra was so important, and especially for this trilogy too.
And you find so much information out about the Elderlings and the Memory Stone and like Elderling items.
Yes. So there was a purpose, even though everybody's like, "Oh, this one just feels very stupid," because it's just young teenagers, whatever.
I think the definite main thing is just the fact that like, outside of this format of group reading, I probably would have had a tougher and way longer time reading these by myself, simply because it's like it is very, very slow paced fantasy as a whole. Like it's giving Name of the Wind a lot of the times, and I'm just like, okay, you know what, it's fine for what it is. But I remember it actually took me ages to finish the Name of the Wind because I was just like, I found it tedious at some points, and it wasn't that it was bad, it was just like sometimes you just can't handle that slow pace. But I'm glad for this opportunity. Thank you, Becca, even though I cussed you out earlier.
It's like,
And I'm still finna cuss you out because I didn't need this depression. But
I just don't understand how you can do this. Like, I keep saying in my vlogs, I'm like, you can, but like, you will still enjoy it. But there's just so much that you just don't understand, like, at all, if you haven't read all of them. And then some people just go in and read the Rainwild Chronicles and just nothing else. And I'm like, how? Cannot cope.
Because that one doesn't make any sense without any context. That one really doesn't make sense to read as a solo.
I think you could read the original trilogy and you could read the Life Ship Traders separately. That's it.
I was thinking earlier, I was like, if I was to reread anything from this, it would just be the first trilogy, and then I'd be like, I'm out from there. Let's keep it easy.
Okay, I disagree.
Rereading them.
Yeah, I actually, the only ones I would read looking back now is the Life Ship Traders, just because I feel like it had the most clear, like, arc. And it's like, even though I love dragons and stuff like that, with the Rain Worlds, I don't feel like that trilogy had a clear arc ending. Like it was all supplementing this final part. Even as you said though, Cass, that like apparently 20 Man was meant to be the last one, but I'm just kind of like, how though? Because if that was the last one, then the point that Becca made that made sense to me wouldn't make sense anymore. You know what I mean?
At the end of every Fitz series, they get to a point where they further the cause, because all the Fool needed to do was bring back dragons.
Yeah.
So, like, at the end of the first one, is that when they get to, oh no, Tintaglia happens in the live ship traders. But, like, because, like, at the beginning, he's trying to keep Farseer on the throne. So he does that, and that's done. And, like, the line is furthered, sorted. And then the dragons come back, and he makes the dragons come back. But then we have the next problem, which is, like, well, with only one dragon, like, we can't do anything. So you bring another dragon back. And then, like, it finally came all full circle. But I definitely agree in that, like, it wouldn't have been very satisfying if 20 Man was the last.
That kind of, I guess, makes me a little less upset that Amber was giving Silver to Paragon, because if the mission was to bring the dragons back, then you have to right the wrong of the live ships. You can't have dragons and live ships existing in the same world.
Yeah.
Because the live ships were never supposed to be like that.
Something that I feel was definitely missing from this book, and I would really like to see it, is Ophelia. Because Ophelia said at the end, I'm pretty sure she said at the end of the live ship trader, she was like, oh, it's fine. Like, I don't mind being a ship.
Yeah.
She's like, I've had a nice life. I enjoy the gossip. It's all good. Because she's in that very end scene at the ball in Jamelia, I think, where they're having that party. And I'm pretty sure she says something along the lines of like, oh, it's fine. Like, it's good to know, but like, I'm not that bothered. So I would have wanted to see what happened with her. And I was also shocked by how Kendry was reacting and refusing to sail or do anything, because he was one of the like friendliest ships in the live ship trade.
Especially with how devoted they all were to their families.
Yeah, because Paragon was just like, I'm off.
Yeah.
I did like that the dragon came back and named himself after the rest of us, though.
Yeah, that was
the other one. Just when I was always
she was like, yeah, I'm out.
Yeah, she was his salty side.
But the one who was presumably Paragon through and through came back.
I would love to reread the first book just to find like the first, because I feel like when I was reading it for the first time, I wasn't paying attention to the Fool. I think he was just another character, and I didn't realize he was going to be like an integral character, right? Till like probably the last book in that series.
Yeah, like he's just chatting shit. Like it'll probably make sense later. It's been 2 years now, so
yeah.
Can we take a moment for Scribd? The way that he took the Fool in. That's how it all started.
Imagine reading it back and like knowing that Scribd has taken in the Fool and like actually giving him clothes and food and stuff.
I never trusted him when we were reading it, because he was giving me massive Tywin Lannister vibes. That's how I pictured him in my head. So I always thought he was sus. So like every book, it's like, yeah, Scribd was a good guy, and I'm like, no, I don't trust him.
Yeah.
This doesn't fit my personal narrative. And then at the very end, your narrative is just completely incorrect, and you're just there like, I wasted so much energy.
Literally, whoever trusts the king in a book, like the king that's already on the throne when the series starts, only not a good guy.
I rooted for Scribd, though. I did enjoy. I mean, because he saw and he listened that he should give Fitz a place.
Yeah.
So that one act was like enough for me to be like, all right, I'm fine with you.
She likes to sit on my shoulder these days. It's a new thing.
Oh.
Am I not giving you enough attention? I'm sorry. Come on. Yeah. How
Sorry, we're just gonna take a moment.
Kennett's death? Like Kennett's son's death was brutal, right? Like I was expecting not to be
that there wasn't a like live ship companion to this.
Yeah, I needed that story. I needed that growing up bromance.
And the way that they saved Paragon.
Yeah.
And just, oh my god, the way that he was with the kids, like Paragon with the kids, which is why it just like,
He
was so eager to like screw everyone over. And the way that he's also like, yeah, you'll probably never see me again as well. It's like, why though? Because you're not a normal dragon. Because you have the blood of humans.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that's what they were trying to convey to him. And that just could have been the smaller female dragon that was like, nope, see ya. That could have been that dragon speaking at that moment.
Yeah.
See, I'm not the only one. Marley was also waiting for Scribd to be dodgy.
TBH, I felt like everyone was going to be against him anyway, just because of how the circumstances were, him being in air and everything. I didn't think it'd end up leading to like the most saddest acknowledgement scene of history in the last book.
Right.
Like not this last book, but I mean the book we read previously. Like, I still think that if there was one scene in this entire series that was like, it was that one, because you just know how much he suffered.
I was really surprised that everybody like in the town was like cool with them finally acknowledging Fitz too, and just being like Prince Fitz chivalry. Like, so y'all been calling him the witted bastard this whole time, and now we're cool with him. All right, it's like you guys are bandwagon people because I was pro Fitz this whole time.
Like generational changing, because you know, like how people will be pardoned and also like people will be apologized to now that lived 50 years ago because our attitude has changed.
That's true.
Like queer people and people of color. So like people who had atrocities done to them and it was normal get like formal apologies and stuff now because we don't think that way. But to us, it's not a big deal. It's like, well, it never should have been a big deal in the first place. Like, we're not bothered.
I think as well we're missing the context of having seen Dutiful and Narchesker and his kids on like the throne, basically, because we're taken away from that pretty much as soon as he's pardoned. So we don't really see too much of the public outcry or lack thereof.
Which I think is great, because then every time you go back to bookkeep with Fitz, you have the same nostalgia that he has because you're going to a bookkeep that you don't know. Because everyone's changed. Yeah, I don't like this. I don't like that Dwali is supposed to be Bee's catalyst, and I do not agree. That was a question.
I was hoping it would be
weird. But Prilkop was the one who said that, and then Prilkop turned out to be kind of sus too. So he could have been way off.
But then there was a letter at the beginning of one of the chapters later on where like he seems to have at least made up with the Fool.
That I mean, kind of righted him in my mind, but I was still pretty mad at him even after that letter. I was really glad that Fitz was like, I'm not gonna pardon anybody. That was actually probably one of the most satisfying Fitz scenes I've ever read, was because we finally like literally get to see Fitz like slit someone's throat after all of these books of being called an assassin, and he's never we never get something like that on the page.
It's like, oh my god, we're actually seeing him killing somebody and like being brutal about it as well.
I think that's one thing that we should talk about, the false advertising of this series. Because what the fuck? Being a trained assassin, like, fair enough while you're in your training years, but we spend most of our time with Fitz when he's not training, so where's the body count?
Well, because the Fool had other plans in mind for him.
Okay, I appreciate you trying to validate it, Cass, but I still want him to kill more people. Because I have problems,
I agree.
and I like
he
people
should have
dead.
killed more people.
I remember saying it, I think it was about the last book in the first trilogy, where I was just like, we're an assassin, we don't see many deaths.
No, and I remember saying at multiple points after these live shows, like, somebody give me a recommendation where the assassin enjoys being an assassin, because I can't cope with Fitz crying about it. Like, I want him to enjoy slitting throats. Why is that not happening?
Hey, it took to the last book and you got it.
Maybe that's why he didn't do it, because he ended up fucking dying in this book. It's like instant karma.
Yeah, genuinely. By parasites as well, which is like the most brutal way to go.
I know, just really just not a good time. I feel real sad for him. That was a horrible.
I just don't understand, because it's just like, I do understand, but I also don't understand why he had to go out like that, because it's like, my girl, you gave us like some happy acknowledgement scene in the last book. and now you're gonna make him die in like the worst possible way. And you guys have probably seen this, like those videos of like those snails that have like parasites in them, like even in their antenna and stuff like that. Like I carried on thinking that was what was going inside of him.
Well, I've just had with Brie, haven't I, where she not long after we got her, she had like gnarly worms, and it was just like fucking worms everywhere, and it was horrible. So I was not having a good time with that whole thing. Like,
it took me way too long to figure out that it was the parasite from the whites and not just like actual worms.
yeah, no, it was only when they explained it that I was like, oh, obviously I just assumed that Night Eyes knew worms.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because it was in Night Eyes language that he identified it first.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was just like, oh, Beale no, and I was just like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like it's been eaten. Ew.
Molly asked what are the implications for the Pirate Queen. Her son is dead now, and that was Kennet's line finished, right? I honestly just don't care because I don't like her and I don't like Kennet. I did like Kennet's son because of his attachment to all of the other characters.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, because then we also have Chelsea. What was the point in the Duchess?
Yeah. I just thought it was weird that they're pirates. They don't need an actual kingdom. They're freaking pirates. They're gonna
The thing that's annoyed me throughout the whole of this bloody series is what is the wood thing that's Kennet, but not Kennet, that he's wearing still. Like, I get it's wizard wood or whatever, but like, so is that just a dragon who is Kennet, but not? It's just confusing to me.
Oh my god, can you imagine it turn into a teeny tiny dragon?
Yeah. Teeny tiny one.
He's just got like this little sassy dragon around him. I want to see that one. That's what the next series needs to be.
That'd be cute, yeah.
Could you imagine like if the dragons really wanted to like wreak some havoc, is like trying to claim every single wizard wood item that has ever been made?
Ooh.
Because that's how that would destroy the economy for Bingtown for sure.
Which they've already
They can get fucked
doing.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong.
Chelsea when they desperately need to make money and they have nothing.
Like I like Bingtown's memory kind of, but also like get fucked. Like I'm very much of the opinion if you take something from someone, especially the way it was taken and what it means for the dragons, get fucked, give that shit back.
To be fair, Bingtown never knew. The Rainwilds knew what they were doing.
Yeah, it was the Rainwilds.
Yeah. The logs.
True.
Bingtown didn't know what they were.
But it doesn't change the fact that you still have to give it back.
True.
It's like if I found out what book I had was stolen, I have to return it. Did you say colonialism? Because
yeah, or imperialism. A little bit of both.
This is a bit close for comfort.
I was like, are you drawing on some recent inspirations?
I will not speak anymore.
Also, the bloody rooster crown. So does that come from Rain's family back in the day then? Like, that was never closed up either. Like,
no, I think the last time we saw that it was in Kelsingra. Somebody was watching Memories and somebody has a rooster crown on.
Yeah.
I've lost track of all the little like items we see.
Little things.
Yeah. Technically come from Rain's family because their family's a rooster, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was just going to talk about another Easter egg, but then I remembered it's Game of Thrones because I've been watching House of the Dragon. It's not this.
Oh, is it the dagger? Yeah.
No, it's the. Somebody said that the stag is the symbol of royalty when they're hunting in the forest, and they're like, a white stag is like a symbol of royalty from the gods, and I'm like, ironic.
Yeah.
But that is definitely like, because people say that like stags are like the kings of the forest, the way the lion is like the king of the it's not called a safari, but you know that place. And people say the lions are the king of the jungle. They're not the kings of the jungle because they don't really live in the jungle. The tigers are the kings of the jungle. Yeah. But sorry, this isn't about animals right now. But no, like I think that's a very good universal point that you made.
Ooh, the others. That's a good question.
I kind of hoped we would get a scene of the others being slaughtered. But I thought in the book they did say that Vivacia was late because some people were also destroying the other's island.
Yes, that's it. She went there because I didn't know where she was because she sailed off ahead of them and then came like 3 months too late or however late, a couple of weeks too late.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that is something else that could have happened in a live ship companion that we never got.
Oh, Deb makes a good point. Bingtown have made it illegal to turn the ships over to dragons.
Yeah,
dragons aren't going to be happy with that.
but like, what can they do?
Exactly.
It's just like,
The ship
well,
are just gonna like they can't put it on Althea because her ship said I'm gonna go and turn myself into a dragon and she couldn't stop it because it's a ship, it can just sail away.
Literally, and I'm sorry, what are you gonna do against dragons, honey?
Yeah.
What are you gonna do, bitch? Like, sorry. I'm always gonna be team dragon in these situations.
Yeah.
The woodcarver imbued Kennet's consciousness into the charm, so it was Kennet, but also a dragon.
Also a dragon. Okay, that's fair. So you're right, Ashley. Mini dragon.
I want a tiny little dragon to be squished.
just do
So does that mean that because they're wearing it, does that keep Kennet close to Etta, or does that put Etta into the charm as well? Like when she gave it to Boyo, not Boyo, Kennet's son, does that put Kennet's son in the charm, or was it so that he was close to his father?
I think it was so he was close to his father.
Or also just like a symbolic mom and dad are with you kind of situation.
I suppose when we saw it in live ships, it was giving Kennet, giving him advice. It was talking to him.
Yeah.
Something that I really liked was when Vivacia said to Wintro, like, give it up. She hasn't loved you in 20 years. She won't love you. Like, she chose the love.
Wow, yeah.
That was good.
And he never loved her anyway. So, like, just go home.
Yeah. And the way that she just, like, was like, Kennet felt more for you than he ever did her. So,
yeah.
Like, the way she just spelled it out for everybody.
Yeah. I'm glad Wintrow's finally going home because, fuck me, he's had a shit time of it. Like,
he must be, what, though, like 40-ish now, at least. And, like, he's wasted all his life chasing Etta. And what? For what?
For what, yeah.
He's never even, like, what did he even see in her? She's always been awful.
The way that he went from, like, little priest boy to pirate.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
I was wondering if we were going to revisit at any point the fact that he was in that monastery dreaming of dragons.
Oh, yeah, shit.
Making dragon like things in stained glass windows, and I wondered if we were going to tie this to Bree and the Fool at any point, or is that just because he was the catalyst that the Fool was looking for?
That could be.
What a waste of Wintrow's life. She's awful, literally. Selden is with the Duchess. That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, they mentioned that he was still alive.
I think he might end up being the next Duke of Chelsea by marrying the Duchess. Because they seem to be getting a little bit friendly.
If the Chalcidians even like keep this woman in power, the Chalcidian common folk didn't seem to be about that idea.
No, nothing seems to have changed very much over there.
Yeah, so I don't want that for Selden at all.
I was really hoping we'd see an end to slavery in this series, but nope. In the last book.
The charm was given to somebody to take back to Etta, but I can't remember who it was given to.
It was given to the leftovers from the pirates that sailed. So they were going back to Divvy Town, and
they got put out.
Wintrow gave it to,
There's so many spin-offs that she could do, but I think she's 70, so I don't, and she's got arthritis, so she can't write very fast. Which is sad.
This is why text-to-speech is amazing. I'm gonna throw that out there.
I'm assuming if she has arthritis, I'm assuming that she either still writes on paper or with a typewriter or something. If it's affecting her that much that she has arthritis, because typing would be pretty quick. Not as fast as if you don't have arthritis, but
I have arthritis. My fingers, super cold. But I type.
Especially when it gets cold, I have arthritis in my knees.
I still can't get over just the mental health rep in this, because I feel like in the series it was very much there, but in a almost understated way, apart from like the occasional times where the conversation would actually come up. And there was one part where I did add a post-it note saying, "Oh, that hurts to hear." So it was just
there was something that I really related to was when B was sailing back on Vivacia, and she's like, especially because my mental health has been bad this year, and I think I've mentioned to a few of you guys, like I was sleeping a lot because I just didn't want to be awake. That's something that B was doing, and Per's like, you're sleeping a lot, and she's like, it's easier than being awake. So
yeah,
and with Shine, with I agree. I feel like Robin Hobb has always done justice to point that out with the characters that have gone through something.
Yeah,
it's because it's towards the beginning where he's having a conversation with the Fool about suicide, basically, and they're just like, but there's little moments that make me glad I'm still around. And there's also a part towards the end. What is it he says? Oh, so when Fitz finds out that everybody believes he's dead, and he's just like, vanity is such a strange thing. They mourned me, and I was warned that they loved me. And I was like, oh, baby, you still don't think people love you after 60 odd years. And it's still just like, people are sad.
I think that's also like valuable, because I feel like at least in this specific voice chat, I know we all know mental health struggles and stuff. So it's just nice to see it shown, not necessarily naturally, because obviously there was just, this entire story was so tragic, but it just feels so validating that you could be someone who's dealing with these kind of things, but also have an adventure, also have a purpose, also be trying to do more with your life. And I think like a lot of the times, especially like trauma and all that stuff, and like just being so ungodly sad isn't talked about enough in fantasy and stuff like that. It's just like, oh, they move on from it, and it's just like, no, they fucking don't. I saw this tweet recently that was like, oh, I don't really feel like they had mental health issues back in like the Middle Ages or whatever, because there's not really much about it. And then like, or like in history, and then someone was like, have you read the Iliad? Have you read like all these other historical texts where they literally kind of talk about that stuff in an artistic way? And it's like, no, suffering has always existed, and I feel like it's nice to see fantasy being open to showing it more outside of, I feel like, very specific kinds of trauma that tend to be shown and then also kind of demonized as like, oh, this is what turns someone into a bad person. But it's like, no, like our heroes are suffering.
Yeah, and their trauma just dictates how the decisions they make in the future. As frustrating as it can be, it's understandable as to why some characters make the decisions they do because of what they've been through. And ow.
I liked this. I would have been happy if they didn't fix their relationship, because I would have quite liked the bit of just like they didn't like they never liked each other. Engagement of just like existed in the same space, but obviously I like that they teamed up against that horrible woman.
I totally agree.
It's like a nod to one another, like, I see what you've been through, kind of thing. I appreciate you. You were there for me at the time that I needed you to be there for me. I was just like,
and the way that B was like, if you cut Shine, I bleed.
Yeah.
I was like,
and they're a 10-year-old to be saying some shit like that as well.
Poor Fitzy.
Oh my god, I'm having a deja vu moment right now, because I literally dreamt of this exact moment before because of what you just said about her being a 10-year-old. Because what I was going to say is, like, I remember maybe when I was younger and stuff like that, you'd hear about like kids and stuff like that maybe saying certain things, and sometimes people would be like, oh, you're a child, you don't know any better and stuff like that. But this is just a testament to how much better like people's attitude toward mental health has improved, because now we're reading about a 10-year-old being in this kind of situation. Obviously we validly see this is a traumatic situation, but we're able to look at their trauma and be upset for them that they even feel that bad, not like minimize them. Because I remember when I was like younger, I was minimized all the time. And now as an adult, if I talk about those same kind of traumas and stuff like that, people are like, oh, it's so horrible you went through that. And it's like, this is what kids sometimes need to hear. And it's just like, I think it's a very nice thing that helped. Like the difference in ages of the characters sometimes can be a bit jarring, but like it was a nice thing to like see these older characters and us also being older, going through these experiences, maturing, and essentially being able to like have that sense of validity no matter what age people are at.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that I feel like Robin Hobb has just, I can't really pick a lot of authors out of a hat that can write different life stages so real. Like this, like someone in the chat also mentioned that just everything felt so real. Like it wasn't overdone. It was very real. And it's all different ages of characters that are going through these things.
It's really well done.
I was just looking because somebody said that Robin Hobb's currently working on a Megan Lindholm novel. I keep forgetting that that's her pen name. And then I just looked up on Goodreads because I've got a secondhand bookshop that sells mass market fantasy books, so I should really go look. But she has a book called Wizard of the Pigeons. So that's the kind of shit that we're getting into here with Megan Lindholm. I do want to read the Soldier Son series. I know someone asked us earlier whether we would read her other stuff. I've kind of been already forewarned that nothing she's written is like as good as the Realm of the Elderlings.
Yeah, that's the only thing.
Yeah, that's why I usually like to start with either an author's early work or like the thing that people like the least.
Yeah,
it's always getting better.
Did we actually talk about what we would do next? Because I know a break was discussed, but I don't fully remember, other than like there were talks about Sanderson, but I know a lot of you have already read. That was it. That was the one. Yeah, I already have the first 3 books. Now I remember. Okay, carry on.
We're doing more than just the trilogy.
We're doing all of them. I was going to mention.
I mean, I have physically the first 3 books, so I'm like ready to do them. I haven't touched them yet, though.
A lot of people are shocked because a lot of people think that this is just a trilogy. It's actually 4 books, 3 standalones, a collection of short stories, and a final trilogy. So I think it's 11 books in total. And I worked out, I think we'll finish in April 2024. So.
Okay, but that's if we do 1 book a month, right?
No, that's a book every 2 months. Well, some of them are under 500 pages. If they're under 500 pages, we do it in a month. And if they're 500 plus, then 2 months. So that was just based on the page counts on Goodreads. I do want to go into Waterstones and find the physical counts on them just to make, because like some of them say 510 pages, but the book might actually be like 498, in which case it's ridiculous doing 2 months.
And also I think it depends on like the writing style, because I know a lot of you guys have expressed that like Sanderson's writing style is very, very simple and to the point, but that makes it easier to read even though there's so many pages, versus like a Robin Hobb will obviously take way longer most of the time. Obviously for me, I end up speed reading them before the live shows like every single time, but
the audiobook narrator for this trilogy is really great, but I still have stopped at the first one. Like I haven't gone past that, but if you would prefer to do the audio.
The audiobook for this one on Scribd at least changed the narrator for Fitz in the last one, and I don't know why. And they also say live ship wrong, which is
somebody said in the Discord that they say Mage Gary instead of Mage Gray. Mage Gary, I can't remember what I was just about to say. Oh, heads up for anybody going into this series that hasn't read it before. I've heard that the first book has absolutely no plot and it's just character development and it's very slow. But I believe it's just the first book. So like if you don't like the first book, I'd probably recommend persevering and at least read the second.
No plot, just vibes.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just, I think a torturer. It's grimdark. There's a barbarian, a torturer, and somebody else. The Inquisitor is the torturer.
I don't know anything about that here for the ride.
Yeah, the other one just said it says he's a paragon of selfishness. So a barbarian, a torturer, and a paragon of selfishness.
Paragon's back! Woo!
Mage Gary was a real love. Okay, so let us just talk about the whole journey we've been on as a whole. Does anyone know what the series ranking is?
Miles is the bottom.
Yes.
My
I'm always
favorite
going to love the Fitz books more than anything else. Always. Fitz is top for me.
I would go this one as my favorite,
Mm-hmm.
then the Live Ship Traders, then the first trilogy, then the middle trilogy, the Fitz one, and then Realm.
See, I really struggle because the book that got such a memorable reaction out of me was Fool's Errand, but I like the series as a whole wouldn't be up there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think my favorite would have to be the first one, just because of nostalgia. Like that's where my emotions are. It'd have to be the first one. Probably Live Ship in hindsight, even though I fucking hated reading that first book.
Live Ship is so good. Like all of this is epic fantasy, but Live Ship is the trilogy that feels like an epic fantasy with a complete story arc, like multi-perspective, like an adventure.
Yeah,
it has a lot of romance. It's got it all.
Yeah,
It's got it all.
I find it hard to associate them. Like to me, it's all a series because they all tie in. It's hard for me to break it down into separate series at this point.
I think mine is the same as Becca's. I would have to put this first. It was just too good the whole way through. Live Ships would be next. At first, I thought Live Ships would be first, but when someone mentioned that the first book was a slog to get through, I agree with that. It took me a while to get into Live Ships as a whole, and then once I started connecting with the characters, then I was in. And then Farseer, because that's where we meet everybody, and it's so wonderful. And then Tawny Man, then Renland.
Ship of Magic is still like one of my favorite books in the whole thing. I love Ship of Magic.
Ship of Magic. I love Ship of Magic, but it was like at that stage in my life, I didn't know, and I've since been corrected, but I didn't know how magical a book about pirates could be. Like I also wasn't into pirates. I always hated the fantasy trope of having to have our characters somehow be on a sea voyage. I had always hated that. And Ship of Magic turned me around, but it still took like half of the book for my attitude about that to like subside.
My take is a bit
Oh,
different.
Come on. You like Rainbow Chronicles first.
No, actually, no. We're going to go last to first. So the first trilogy, actually no, Tawny Man, then the first trilogy, then Rainwilds, then this trilogy, then Live Ship.
Okay, you put Live Ship first, so like I can respect it, but like your bottom three are just all wrong.
It's like, it's just to me, I was just feeling depression, and everything felt so pointless. And not that it was pointless, but it just didn't. I'm a person who like really, really likes a specific amount of plot, and to be honest, like the other Fitz books would have been higher than Rainwild, but I'm not gonna lie, just like the interactions with dragons and like all those insights into the Elderlings and stuff like that, to me was really, really invaluable, and that's the shit I live for. And it felt like the first trilogy and Tawny Man didn't feel as magical to me, and versus like Rainwild's Live Ships and this trilogy, it felt way more magical. So I just felt like this is more my vibe. It doesn't mean I didn't like those as much, but it's like easily, I think Live Ship as a whole is something that I'm like, I fuck with. I'm sorry.
I think.
How did everybody find the series? Did everyone find the series by BookTube?
Yeah, for me, I think the person who introduced it to me was Sam from Sam's Nonsense, and that's when I read it. And then
I don't remember why we picked this series.
Neither do I. I remember yelling at you to read it though, because I'd already read the first trilogy before we'd started.
I knew that Cass liked it. I was throwing people back to Cass's video when they had questions about it, but I think that's it. I think Cass is the only person I knew who read it, and then you'd read the first three, or was it just the first one?
It was definitely like you guys help supplement it more for me, but I think for like I already had it as like, oh, I do want to read this because at the time before season 8, like I loved George R. R. Martin so much, and my mentor, who's also an author, he recommended the series, and like I was like, okay, cool, I'm getting 2 really good strong recommendations, and my friends are also talking about it, like fine, I'll read it. There's dragons apparently. I didn't know I signed up for depression. Thanks for that, Cass.
I went to a bookstore, and yeah, it was like I was in the fantasy section, and there was a book called Assassin's Apprentice like on the shelf, and then I saw that it was like a whole big series because there were so many books about assassins. I was like, okay, well, which is the one that I got to read first? So I picked it up, and then reading the first trilogy is how I found BookTube. So like it was kind of in reverse order, because then that's how I found like Sam's Nonsense. Because I was like, there's someone out there who loves this as much as I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I just randomly picked it up one day in a bookstore, like in terms of how I discovered it, because I just saw all of them lined up on the shelf and was like, oh, pretty. So, and like it's very clear as well, because a lot of fantasy books have like really dark spines as well, and then you come across Hobb and it's just like all the beige books lined up. So I remember seeing them and being like, oh, that sounds interesting. And I think I read the first book in 2015, I want to say, and I only rated it 3 stars the first time round, but I wanted to give it another go, and then this read along happened.
Oh my gosh, yeah, you'd already read the first book and you didn't like it very much. Well, like, all right.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I remember thinking for like a couple of years previously, like, oh, I want to reread it because I think I'd enjoy it more now. And now here we are.
I think this next series is going to be really risky because none of us have read it, and so there's no one to vouch for it.
I've read the first one, but not. No,
How was it?
I loved it.
Okay, good.
And if you feel like you need the audiobook to get you through it, the audiobook is.
Somebody did say in the chat that the audiobook is helpful for this series, which I'm fussy, so we'll see.
Wait, what series? Are we talking about Joe Abercrombie right now, or are we talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I just understood why I thought it was a trilogy. So I actually bought those special editions on Amazon, and because on Amazon it says like it's out of 3. And they only have 3 of those special editions. That's what so I have those 3, but I don't have any other books. But obviously,
I need to buy those because I have all the others. I've got what do you call it? Gentleman Bastards, Mistborn, and Name of the Wind in that series, in those editions. So I need to buy the Abercrombie.
Because it makes your shelves look so nice when they're all like.
Yeah, when they're all lined up together, it's pretty.
I've picked mine up secondhand, all of them. But I picked this one up last, and I thought that it was the second book because I thought that this was a trilogy, but this is coming up as book 4.
I'll show you the ones that they have on Amazon in the US. They're not as pretty. Hold on.
I'm probably going to have to do a bit of like a Cody with Hobb situation and go to one very specific secondhand bookstore to get like the market paperbacks of the series.
So this is how they look.
Yeah, yours look like Paul Tremblay covers, like horror covers.
Yeah. And they're like, this is how they look, on the shelf.
Yeah.
Ew.
Okay, sue me, but doesn't that look like literally the kind of stuff that you would see like men in their 30s gatekeeping? Like, totally. You wouldn't comprehend this, but like.
But I feel like this is a series that they do.
Yeah,
they do. Bros. They definitely do.
Yeah.
But like the books that Becca's holding in her hands right now, that gives the same vibe as Hobb in the sense that it's like universal fantasy, like.
And this one has like a cutlass on it.
Beautiful. A lot. I don't know how. Maybe I'll sell these and get the other ones.
I'm sorry, Cass. I wasn't trying to make you shit about your covers.
This was just what was available on Amazon when I got them. Because it was I got all 3 of them at the same time.
I'd already just not going to match because I've got the first 3 in hardback from the Broken Binding and then just none of the others.
Yeah, we'll have to go to Armchair.
Yeah.
I need to get all my Hobb to match at some point, so I need to.
at Armchair, I've already looked because I knew that this was coming. I've already looked, and it's like right on the top.
Right on the top, above the door.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
flying for these bitches.
I know what you mean exactly. I've also done the same thing.
I am dubious about this one. I don't know if I'm gonna like Abercrombie.
Yeah, I don't know if you are either, just from what I've heard, but hopefully.
People have said that the one, like the shining grace of this series is apparently it's very, very charismatic. Charismatic. And I feel like, I'm not gonna lie, as much as I love Hobb's world and ideas and stuff, and like I did fall in love with some of these characters, I don't feel in general that the books are very charismatic, but I don't think they have to be for what they are. So I'm just kind of intrigued by what this next series can be. Like the way it's been sold is essentially that you're not going to get bored. Like, but I don't know.
Apart from book 1, which apparently has absolutely no plot. But
see, that I'm a character person, so that kind of gives me a bit of hope.
Yeah.
I just think it's because it's the first book. I'm like, it's a bit of a weak intro. Like, because I would assume that there's no plot. It's like the first book has no plot, you know?
Yeah, I guess I kind of just like, since I knew this was kind of going to be like a long haul kind of thing, and I read so much fantasy anyway that it like doesn't matter to me if there's a real plot to follow, because I know eventually it'll come.
I got a secondhand copy of Magician by Raymond D. Feist yesterday, and I read the first page of it while we were in a queue, and the writing reminded me a lot of Hobb. That's just from the first page. So, like, I can't fully vouch for it, but I read the first page and was like, this seems like Hobb.
So, I mean, I've been recommended that book so many times. I've just never, I just haven't gotten to it yet.
Yeah, I got
a really big romance kick, I'm not going to lie. Because of the way that Hobb made me feel, I was like, I need the exact opposite. And
yeah, so I went to horror instead. I was like, I'm reading horror now because don't want any more emotion.
I did a couple Stephen King novels in a row, and then I went straight to Assassin's Fate, and I was like, I'm going to read some historical romance.
Props to it.
I'm actually, now that it's turned into autumn, I'm in a real fantasy mood, so I'm going to carry on with fantasy, but I'm reading Goldsborough books soon, so historical fantasy, so pray for me.
I haven't read anything.
I feel like I'm so, because I'm moving and everything, I'm not, if I do get, like, everyone who's watching this, please cross your fingers for me and send me good vibes, because I put in an offer for an apartment and I really want it, but if I don't get it, I'm putting everything in storage, including my books. So I know I'm I'm gonna have to be very, very picky about the books I actually take back to my mom's with me. So, like, if anyone has really good recommendations of, like, I don't know, books about, like, restarting your life and stuff, like, as a fictional character restarting their life, not actual, like, non-fiction, because you'll know. Hit me with them. Otherwise, I'll still be reading You that I've been putting off for, like, ages.
Actually, you gave me my copy back, didn't you?
Yeah, I gave it.
That's not my fault. You never, like, checked back in with me.
Yeah, I also gave up myself. Like, I just DNF'd.
I'm not gonna lie, I really, really fucked with it. I'm actually, I was a third of the way through, but I actually haven't read, like, any books other than this series for the past few months. I'm sorry, BookTube.
Oh, these covers for this series are old school and not in a good way. What's the publication date? 2001. Wow.
For which one? This one?
No, for the recommendation, the World of the Five Gods series.
Oh, okay. Is that the Curse of Chalion?
Yeah.
I have also been recommended that one. I haven't gotten to it. I have it behind me somewhere.
I'm noting this down.
Wait, so what are we're cemented on Joanne, but
yes, I've already told people that it's happening, so it has to.
Well, considering that, like, a lot of the books are short stories, I think we'll actually be done before we know it.
Yeah, so there's 4 books, 3 standalones, and then I think it's the collection of short stories. I do believe that Daniel Green's just done a video on it, which I'm just going to consult out when I do my announcement. But I think it's 4 books, 3 standalones, short stories, and a trilogy.
Yeah, like I just apparently there's 2 different ways you can read it. Like you read it in publishing order and stuff like that, but then there's like another order which is like the first trilogy, then a bunch of the short stories, then another trilogy, and then God knows what. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll do my research, but that's the way that I think it goes. But yeah, we'll be starting in January as well, so we've got time. I don't see the point in starting now, so we're not. We'll just wait until the end.
I'm just like, I need a break. This is like the first time I finished a series in a long time.
Yeah, announcement will be in December, and we won't be taking a break in the middle of this one like we did with this, because I don't know where I would put the breaks. It'd either be really early or really late.
Yeah.
Like a middle place to stop.
How accomplished do we all feel though? 16 books of this.
I can't believe it. This is
How many pages have we read of Hobb?
Wait, what do you mean 16 books?
This 16.
the whole series. This
3, 9.
Rain Isle was 4 books.
This is where you just like animate the like math equations.
Mm-hmm.
Bitch, you got me out here reading 16 books? Like, bruh.
Has anyone read any authors more than this? Like, I think I've maybe read maybe more Stephen King than this, but this is like my most read author.
Now I'm gonna turn around and look.
I think
It's
she's
outright, no.
past Sanderson now for me.
Wow.
So I think she's my most read. I don't think I've read as many Sanderson. I've
My
read
most read was Lemony Snicket with the 13-book series.
yeah.
Michael J. Sullivan was at 9 previously.
I think I've read like 11 or 12 Sanderson, so I think Hobb is my most read author now.
Oh my god, she's my most read author.
Yeah,
No,
I'm 10
no.
with Sanderson.
Sarah J. Maas
17.
only got 15 books, so no.
Oh,
17.
No, 16. Huh?
17 books with piebald prints.
yeah. So Hobb.
Yeah. No, because Sarah, I forgot that she wrote that Catwoman book that I've read, but that puts her up to 16, so no. Wow.
I'm at 10 Stephen King.
Yeah.
But yeah, no one's even come close.
Yeah, I think it's Hobb for me.
1, 2.
Mark,
I read 9 Sebastian de Castell. Right? No, that's 10. Yeah, they're all kind of like rounding around at 10. John Gwynne could be one that becomes like one of those authors that ends up getting up there too, though, because he releases his like trilogies or books like every year, I think.
I think my rival eventually, in like 10 years' time, will be Justin Cole. Because his series is going to be like 12 books. So.
I mean, Stormlight's going to be 10. So
I know. I was just thinking, how many Sando is there? I think
there's
about 10. I've read half of all of his published books, I think.
yeah.
Doesn't Sanderson have like a bajillion books?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought you would have read more of him.
I think I've read 13 or 14, but that would include the 4th book that comes out at the end of this year for Mistborn Era 2.
Oh, yeah.
And that
Castle,
include
don't
like
you?
Arcanum Unbound, and also I read Steelheart as well, which wasn't that good.
Did you read his YA sci-fi series?
I think I've read about 11 or 12 Sanderson.
1, 2.
Oh, have any of you read all of Cassandra Clare?
No, I've only read.
Oh, I've read. Yeah, maybe.
I've only read
7.
10.
I gave up on Cassandra Clare.
I've read 12 Cassandra Clare.
Oh my god, as if you've read more Cassandra Clare than me, get out.
This is when I first discovered BookTube, though. I read all of the Mortal Instruments. I read the Dark Artificers is shit, but I read it, and then also the one that I liked in the middle, the princess one. What's it called?
I wish
Infernal
I liked
Crisis?
Cassandra
Yeah,
Clare because the covers are so pretty.
Yeah,
Apparently they're better now, but it's just like
But don't they all kind of have to, like, you kind of have to know?
her books
Yeah.
are very addictive, and I still enjoy reading them, but I don't like her as a person.
that's me with you know what, yeah. Like I don't know about liking her as a person because I don't even know her as a person, but you know the author of Hush Hush? I've reread the first 3 books of that series so many times. I still refuse to read the last one though because I'm scared for it to end. Even though it's been like how many?
You need to read Her Soul to Take by Harley LaRue if you like Hush Hush. It's like it's demon porn, but like the guy is Patch, but like
I think
is on point.
That's the main thing with me and Cassandra Clare, and where I agree with Cass in that I kind of did give up in the sense that like I feel like it's not that I don't enjoy YA. I can enjoy some YA. It's just like you know what I mean? Like when everyone just carries on being 16 and it's just like, honey, I'm 26.
Oh, God, the plots are the same all the time, and every single series has some sort of incest in it, apart from the Infernal Devices. It's like incest adjacent, so it's not quite incest.
She still hasn't stopped with that. I thought that ended in the first series. What?
No.
Incest adjacent. That's a very good way to describe it.
I forgot I read Book of Night as well.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh, Holly.
No, wait, that's Holly Black. That's Holly Black.
Oh yeah.
So in the Dark Artifices series, the romance is between 2 people who were the foster siblings, essentially.
Yeah.
I
didn't like it.
Okay, I'm about to get sued if I say anything.
No,
I don't think that counts as much because
like,
they're fostered.
Aren't related, but
yeah, they're not genetically. But don't get me wrong, I understand if you're being raised, then it's still.
I've read a short story by Cassandra Clare where it's between a girl and her step cousin, and I've read the Mortal Instruments where it has the plot twist of brother and sister. So that's 3 Cassandra Clare series that have things that are very close to incest. So that is a problem because it's a pattern, is my thing with her.
Well, considering that Jace and Clary were originally meant to be actual incest fan fiction.
Were they really?
Yeah, that's what
thing.
It was Harry Potter fan fiction that was Draco Malfoy and what's her face?
Hermione.
Hermione, and they were like meant to be.
That, she wrote a fan fiction called The Mortal Instruments, which was Ginny and Ron.
Yeah.
That's too much. I can't.
So like it's a definite problem, which is why I don't like her as a person, but her books are
she also always has every bloody character matched up with somebody else by the end, and it just gets boring. Matching everybody up.
I don't like love. Okay, I'm not the biggest fan of love triangles. Like I'm kind of really over that whole thing. I feel that there's only so much of that a human being can take, because at some point it's just like, can you just like, can we see 2 people who are in a relationship? And I remember I've brought this up multiple times in other series we've been reading, just 2 badass people who are in a relationship, who are doing things and they're working through things together. And it's great because you're like actually seeing people in a relationship, not like how they get to a relationship, because it's so fucking annoying having to go through all of that again and again. Like, I don't know, personally, like the whole falling in love I get tired of. Like I want to see more people in love. Like have you guys read it's not is it a Sorcery of Thorns? Like the one with the chick who is a librarian.
Yeah. Didn't like it.
Okay, that's fair. I personally really like that book, and it wasn't even just the book aspect, it's the fact that she's a badass in one way, he's a badass in another way, and like sure, they aren't necessarily together, but they carry on being badasses together, and there is no other person. And it's just like satisfying to know, you know, like, I don't know, give me 2 people when another person isn't going to come in, man. I'm tired.
Yeah, I feel this for Cassandra Clare. Like, I still read her books, and I'm behind, but like they're entertaining. It's just her as a person I don't like. I do really.
Are they all still like 16, 17?
Yeah. They're just like easy read. Like she writes characters that you want to root for, and the situations feel pretty high stakes, and like a way that you like just get into it, which is why I like them. But
they're so easy as well. It's just like to me, it's like reality TV type kind of vibes, you know.
I don't read a lot of YA anymore, and I don't get into YA anymore. But Cassandra Clare books, like I have to say, I do still like them.
I probably would if they weren't quite so huge.
Baby. Oh, he's so sad.
Baby.
Oh, no. Still want a baby, Zaf.
I was going to say that he looks like you, but I don't mean it in the sense that he's crying. I mean in the sense like facial features are similar, like in a nice way. But yeah, that's what really, really helped.
Right.
Do you want me to unmute so you can hear a little bit of that too?
Oh.
And all of the eggs just came out of my uterus. I don't think I can do it anymore.
That maternal feeling of being 26 for 4 days.
We come back at 27. Right, so I think we will wrap it up about here. This has been the Final Elderlingalong live show.
Oh,
The end of an era. We've been doing this since 2020. Catch Up Book Club has been going since 2018, and we've read 2 series. How does that make you feel? In 4 years.
I still love that you're like solidifying friendships for like 2 year stints. It's like, I'll be my friend for the next 2 years.
I was going to say, not to toot my own horn or anything, but is there any other book club that's as successful as this one at actually doing the thing that we set out to do?
I can't think of it, you know.
That's a very good. I mean, there's no way you're stopping in the middle of this. You just can't.
Because I feel like I made it really hard as well, because it wasn't supposed to be extended fantasy universes when I started, but that's what it is now. So like, we only read the books if there's a lot of them.
Yeah. It helps. It's motivating.
Yeah.
Catch Up Book Club, and I'm just like, we'll be there in 2 years.
Yeah. And then it's funny as well because everybody's like starting them now because we've been reading them, and it's like if you're catching up to Catch Up Book Club, there's something wrong here, guys.
There's so many read-alongs of this whole series now. I'm like, are y'all actually in it for the long haul? Like, this is gonna, and the way that some people are just plowing through them, I'm like, oh, bless you. They take a long time.
Yeah.
Read from the live ship traders through to nearly at the end of Realm of Chronicles in about 2.5 weeks.
She's a machine.
Yeah. She actually tried to DNF the Realm of Chronicles, started the fictional pool, and went back.
Now he's cute.
Oh,
he did not exist at the beginning of this.
That's crazy to think.
Oh my god, we literally like when he was an egg to the conception to you doing the thing. Damn.
Now he's 18 months old.
Wow.
Oh, no.
Are you a farcier?
Wow.
The first series was Game of Thrones in preparation for the show.
Yeah, still haven't got that fucking finals book.
Oh.
Thanks, Martin.
Yeah. I love how angry you got though, Zaf. It was very entertaining for the rest of us.
It was really funny because at work, it came up because like it's relevant to my work kind of, and I found the tweets of how I responded to the finale. And basically me crying on video. I don't know if anyone else is going to be able to find them. But I was like, oh my god, I actually posted this stuff like 2 years ago. I was so mad. And that's why I'm just like, oh god. I don't want to be in another series that's going to make me feel that way again. I don't want to be depressed and I don't want to be angry. So I'm really hoping this next series just makes me happy.
Yeah.
Or laugh.
It's going to, because it's grimdark, and remember, we have a torturer, a barbarian, and a paragon of selfishness.
Yeah, but everyone said it's funny. So like, please.
I feel like this will be more like violent than it will depressing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yay!
Are you gonna leave me? Okay, say bye.
Oh, you baby.
Say bye.
You're so cute.
Okay.
Look at those eyes.
He's so cute. Okay, and on that note, we will see you in. Thank you guys, all you guys, for joining me. Thank you, everybody who has read along. And we will see you in January for the First War universe.
No one tells for Christmas. Bye.